Hello, and welcome to Lesson 15 of Speed Puzzling 101 Tips and Tricks, quick speed puzzling lessons in under 10 minutes. Today's lesson is on the benefits of practicing two puzzles at once while completing a puzzle relay. As a disclaimer, there is no single correct way to complete a puzzle. My advice may work for some, and it may not work for others. Try as many approaches and strategies as you can and see what works for you. For today's lesson, you will need two puzzles of similar difficulty, a space large enough to do two puzzles on, a timer that counts down, and two stopwatches. I included a link to the free one that I used in this video in the description below. And while you scroll down to click that link, make sure to also click subscribe so you don't miss out on the exciting puzzle content coming up on this channel. There's a lot you need to focus on while you're speed puzzling. Obviously, maintaining your speed, the different parts of the puzzles and the pieces, of course, what your hands are doing, when to stand or sit, what is going on around you, and much more. You also need to know when to move on to a different section of the puzzle when what you're working on isn't going quite well. In the future, there'll be a video dedicated specifically to that, but it'll take a little bit of time as I'm still working on strategies myself. However, one way to practice forcing yourself to move on to something else is to complete a puzzle relay. In a puzzle relay, you're going to be completing two puzzles at the same time, alternating between the two after every 5 minutes. Once 5 minutes is done on the first puzzle, you'll move on to the second one. Once 5 minutes is done on that one, you'll move back to the first and keep that going until both puzzles are complete. But instead of me just talking about it, let's go straight into the example for today. So starting off, you'll see I have my two timers at the bottom that are counting up, and there's a timer counting down as well. I start the puzzle on the left, just like I normally would for every other one, flip the pieces over and start working away. I'm not focused on that countdown timer. It will beep when it goes off, so I know when to switch to the other side. And when it hits that 5 minutes, like it is right about now, I'll stop it, move to the other side, and start working on the second puzzle. If you were to slow this down, you'll see that I actually do a little bit faster of a flip on the second puzzle. I sort things a little bit better as well, because I realize after learning from the first puzzle, I have slightly less space to work with. My hands are also a bit warmed up now at this point. But this is what part of the process is. It's figuring out mistakes that you might make on one side and fix them on the other. As I go back to the other side, I forgot to start the timer there, so I'm a little bit more focused on the countdown or the counting up timer right now, which isn't ideal, but I'm able to finish the border and get my first project sorted out of the way before that 10-minute mark. And I switch back to the other side. Again, I'm not focused at anything to do with the puzzle on the left while I'm working on the puzzle on the right. Borders being finished out, you can see my space management is much better on puzzle number 2 on the right than it is on puzzle 1. I'm doing a bit more of a sort for the other puzzle. You'll see there's a couple projects sorted out, so I'm taking different approaches to each puzzle. I could take the same approach, but testing out different strategies at the same time. Switching back to the other side. I've given myself 5 minutes on each side because it's an acceptable amount of time in a speed puzzling situation. If you're only doing 1 or 2 minutes, you're not going to be able to think quite enough about what's going on, and you're just going to be bouncing back and forth a lot more. While 10 minutes, especially for those really, really good speed puzzlers, 10 minutes, you'll be able to finish a huge portion of the puzzle, especially as you work your way along. 5 minutes is that nice little Goldilocks sweet point. As a reminder, I am not focused at all on what's happening on the other side of the puzzle or what my progress is looking like. I've done 15 minutes for each side at this point, two very different looks of the puzzle. About the same amount being done on each. I did pick two puzzles that I can do at a pretty similar pace, so I'm expecting the time at the end to be quite similar. I haven't sat down at all during this time. My back is hurting a little bit at this point. It just helps with the transition back and forth. If you have like a wheelie chair, office chair, that might help as well. But standing up is also making me work a little bit faster and a little bit harder to get through this as fast as I can. As a reminder, I have the countdown timer on there, the smaller timer in the middle, just to remind me to move to the other side. So again, I'm not focusing on we'll call it a chess timer, I guess, but going up instead of down. And I can just focus on the puzzle a little bit more. My main focus needs to be on what's going on in front of me, not on the timer, not on the puzzle beside me. Another benefit to this process is that I kind of feel like when I move to the other puzzle that I'm going in with slightly fresh eyes. I haven't been staring at the same pieces constantly. I'm forcing myself to look at the puzzle from a different point, not necessarily a point of view, but because I'm coming over from a puzzle that looks nothing like this one, it just looks like I'm looking at a new section of a puzzle. And this can also be beneficial if you're working in pairs or teams and you're moving around to something that's completely different than what you were working on before. So you can also do this approach with a partner as well. There's also no way to waste too much time, as the timer will force you on to something else. So for example, the blue disc on the puzzle on the left, if this was just taking me 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get through, the timer is going to force me to move on to something else on the other side. And when I go back over, I can think, okay, well, that wasn't working. Let's move on to something slightly different. Same with the puzzle on the right, with those green dots at the top there. If those are taking a long period of time, jumping to the other side, jumping to the other puzzle is just going to give me an out. So I'm not forcing myself to look at that puzzle any longer than I need to, or that section of the puzzle any longer than I need to. One of the downsides here is that you kind of need to remember where a lot of pieces are for two different puzzles, which is more challenging. As you stare at one puzzle and the pieces sitting on the table over and over and over again, you can start to see where, or you'll remember where some pieces might be or where they go a little bit easier. You can also notice that the pieces that are being left over, there's similarities on both sides. It's a lot of light, similar looking pieces left with the puzzle on the right, while when I move back to the puzzle on the left, it's the darker pieces, darker sections that are left over. So yeah, we're just working our way through. You kind of want, again, you want to have these puzzles finishing as close to the same time as you can. So there isn't, yes, just so you're focusing, you're not spending too much time on one puzzle after this is all done. So it's going to be close here. Can I finish it? No, which is super frustrating for me. Those last, 7 pieces left over. Seeing if I can finish this puzzle before the timer is done. I'm kind of in a competition with myself now, so can I finish the second puzzle a bit faster? Probably yes, and I do, and finishing it off. Now you may be thinking that you can set up a timer and just do this with a single puzzle, and that is true. The only problem is that your focus will never be 100% away from whatever section you just moved on from. You could still be glancing over it as you're looking for pieces for a different section. You may notice, oh, those go with what I was just working on. You may reconsider and just go back to it, even though the timer said to move on. Or you can just ignore the timer and say, just be another minute and stay there. Regardless, your focus, again, will never be completely away from that section that you're trying to force yourself to move on from. When completing a puzzle relay, you have to physically move yourself away from the other puzzle. So there's no option to still be distracted. You are training your brain to move on to something else and be okay with it. There are other adjustments you can make to this approach as well. You can go for pure speed and pick 2 of your fastest puzzles. You can pick 2 harder puzzles that you know in the past you've had difficulty moving on from the harder sections. You can mix it up with 1 standard puzzle and 1 circular puzzle, or you can try different cuts, 1 ribbon and 1 random, or you can even try 2 different brands. And if you have the space, you can increase it to 3 puzzles or 4 puzzles. The difficulty level is up to you. That is it for lesson 15 of Speed Puzzling 101 Tips and Tricks. Click like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe if you want to see more of this content. Or leave a comment or question below and I can address it in a future video. Coming up soon on this channel is more exciting content. Episode 8 of Puzzle and Chatty will be released very, very soon, as well as other videos and some new things coming up with the end of 2025 and into 2026. So again, make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss out on any of that. I will see you next week for another lesson. Until then, class dismissed, and as always, happy puzzling.